Welcome to Delta Green, God's Teeth, brought to you by Black Project Gaming. Get read in at blackprojectgaming.com. I'm Vince, your host and handler for this campaign. Joining me are Cami as FBI Special Agent Sarah Hart, Doug as Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Gerrald Swenson, Jack as Special Agent Adrian Selivanov with the FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, and Sonia as Dr. Leah Caron with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. God's Teeth is a campaign of unthinkable horrors, written by Caleb Stokes for Delta Green, the role-playing game. For more information on Delta Green, please visit delta-green.com. Music in these episodes is brought to you by Cryo Chamber and Epidemic Sound. This podcast contains depictions of and allusions to violence against both children and animals, as well as unnatural horror, graphic violence, and adult language. As a result, it is intended solely for mature audiences. Listener discretion is strongly advised. So here's where we're going to pick up. When we last left you, you all had finished your interview with Lee Jarnigan, also known as Scribe Life 420, and called back to Pitzerelli to report on what you had found out. Pitzerelli gave you rather controversial orders to dig into Conradin, now identified as Jacob, aka Esau Tillman, and see what you could find on him now that you had a name to tie to this childhood nickname you had learned all those years ago. So in the interim, you had 24 hours to do this, to dig up what you could, to research, and to prepare to brief your findings to Pitzerelli. So we're going to do a little set the scene. Pitzerelli has made it clear he will furnish whatever you need to assemble your intelligence quickly and quietly. And we'll start with you, Cami. All the work that you need to do is done at a secure, deniable, and isolated site. Maybe it's an office closed by the lockdown. Maybe it's the closed sub-basement of a car park. Where is it, and why are you the only ones there?
I think that it is probably some kind of abandoned and locked down office, somewhere that, like, if someone was to, for whatever reason, like, come up to them, there would be some kind of security keeping them out, rather than just like a random car park that realistically anyone might be able to walk down into. So I think they're in somewhere that's a little bit more secure, but yeah, definitely abandoned. And yeah, just with files and computers and everything spread out everywhere, probably.
I do have a question. Are we renting, or is this really abandoned?
That's a great question. What do you think, Cami?
I mean, if we're renting, it's not with a paper trail that leads back to us. It's like with a fake name. I feel like maybe the security guard is a friendly or someone who like knows we're there, but we're not there like officially, technically, but they're going to let us do our work and not bother us, and also make sure no one else bothers us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we can work with that. Pitzerelli is easily able to find you an office space through his contacts in the Missouri District Attorney's office. And it's obviously with everyone still relatively locked down. He's able to find a space where you could easily set up shop for a day and not have any issues whatsoever with anybody stumbling upon your work or interfering with your work. And he gets a Federal Protective Service officer, a uniformed officer, to provide security for this office in one of these buildings in downtown St. Louis. He's getting paid overtime to not ask any questions and to not give you all a hard time, and just make sure nobody goes into that room that isn't Anthony Pitzerelli or you four. So good. Okay, we've got a secure location. We've got that worked out. Now for you, Doug. The program insists on operational security. Research is to be gathered, processed, and then destroyed wherever possible. You're in charge of these precautions. And with only a few hours' notice and no additional personnel, what measures do you take at this location to ensure your operational security?
All right. So I think the first thing Bear's going to do is make a thorough sweep of the offices where we are. And I assume it's fairly small, like a suite of like a few offices in a conference room, something like that.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, he's going to sweep through here, checking for bugs, just checking for, any kind of security. He will go out to each of the mirrors that he sees in the rooms, which probably are mostly just going to be in the bathrooms, but I don't know. I mean, there might be mirrors in other places. And you see him go to the corner of each of the mirrors that he finds, and he pulls out a black Sharpie and makes a mark and then looks at it closely before moving on, checking to make sure there's no two-way mirrors or anything like that.
Okay.
He finds, probably from some leftover construction that was going on at the facility, a very small, little cooler that somebody might bring their lunch in. And he puts that next to the door of this place. And as people come in, he holds out this cooler to them and says, cell phones in here. We can't afford to contaminate this with searches to let them know where we are. We got to do this the right way. Now, I think the rest of it is probably Bear wouldn't come up with these ideas, but Adrian probably would. And so Adrian, if some of this you think is overly burdensome or not the right way to do it, let me know. But basically the idea is we're going to be doing a lot of research online, right? That's primarily what we're doing.
Probably, yeah.
So in order to be secure online, one of the things I think we want to do is make sure that we're not using the sites that have been contaminated, and also make sure that we're not collecting a bunch of cookies and that are tracking us as we're going from site to site and putting together this big long paper trail. So I think Adrian would suggest, and Adrian should be able to easily set this up. Essentially, we could either buy cheap laptops or we could, probably set this up on people's laptops, but set up a Docker and spin up containers. So container is like it's kind of like a virtual computer. And so basically what you do is each of these containers then will contain a complete browsing and Microsoft Office environment for browsing and taking notes. So you fire up Docker, you hit go, and it will load up one of these containers that Adrian has already constructed. And it has a browser in it. It has Microsoft Office, and we can do all that stuff that we need. It also will automatically connect to a VPN. And then every time you stop doing, like you work for an hour or so, you do a specific task that you're doing. Every time you stop, you transfer any data, any notes that you've taken to a centralized server, and then you wipe the container. So every couple hours, you're starting fresh with a new browsing environment that's going through a VPN anyway. But all of those steps together are meant to just obfuscate the fact that we're making all of these different, requests. So they're being spread out across VPNs across the world, and they're not being collected on one computer. I would say the final thing I would say about that setup is there should be like a server where we're collecting notes, and that server would not be connected to the internet. So we would have like a separate subnet that is not connected to the internet, that's shared with the laptops. And that's how the information is transferred. And once we're done, we can just burn that hard drive.
Okay. Adrian, you good with any of that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, actually.
Well, with your computer science and SIGINT score, that is, you do that in your sleep. So easily able to get that set up and further reinforce the security of this deep informational dive you all are going on. But that does bring me to you, Jack. The life of Conradin is painted across entire books, gigabytes worth of documents, and files forgotten in warehouses. You all are required, obviously, to sift this information quickly. You only have 24 hours. You're obviously probably the best suited person for this task. So, describe any office supplies, any systems that you use to coordinate this collection and collation of information.
Yeah, Adrian would know these things. I'm woefully ill organized. But I mean, aside from, sort of mining whatever is left behind in the office building, filing cabinets, scanners, anything of the like. And in addition to the sort of security measures that Adrian has set up for each of the computers and having our own private server on hand, I think just a lot of it is just old school indexing, not quite Dewey Decimaling it, but going through as much as he can. But again, if there's anything that that he himself would be more knowledgeable of as far as technology, he would be introducing it to the group. I, however, do not have those insights, so...
It's okay. Yeah, you've got whiteboards, you've got scanners, you've got legal pads. All of that is at your disposal.
I'll say that he's not a very tactile person, so as much of it that would be digital as possible, he would keep digital.
Save the analog stuff for the boomers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if he does have access to a scanner and if there are hard copies he needs to scan, he'll be doing that. And then, using whatever software is at his disposal to just sort of quick read it and then, log that information.
Yeah, I'd say one tool you more than likely have at your disposal, something that you likely would have encountered and used in your time with the computer analysis response team, is something called Analyst's Notebook. It's a software tool that you can use to take notes, collate notes, build link analysis charts between individuals and properties and locations, and just create essentially almost a map of who this person was, where they came from, who they've been connected to, what they've been connected to, and essentially build a spider web looking chart of this person's life right there for quick reference. So I'd say that's something you definitely have at your disposal as well.
Yeah, that's what I said, basically.
I forgot one thing. I think Bear would also take it upon himself, especially with, he's training kids all the time in Georgia, and he's used to having to babysit people through COVID precautions. So I think he would just have, he would set up a station at the entrance to the office where you would have a hand washing station with soap and water, as in addition to the gel that you use to smear around. I'm sure Sonia can tell you washing with soap and water is just much better than hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer in a pinch, water, soap and water better.
Yeah. And then wipes that, just several, like containers of wet wipes that people can bring with them if they want to wipe surfaces down. Gloves and masks. Bear is not going to insist that people wear masks, but he would wear one himself, and it's recommended.
And now we have the almost constant scent of lemon-scented Lysol hanging over everything, just to really drive home the bureaucratic nightmare that is this office. For you, Sonia, bodies started this, and bodies must end it. The brain is part of that meat. To get this done, the team still needs to piss, eat, and sleep. How do you make the space livable? Are there snacks, caffeine, something stronger? What do you do to enhance the comfort of this austere space?
I think the benefit of it being an office space is that it does have at least restrooms. We have that going for us, even if we don't have possibly full-on showers. So I think definitely sanitation and hygiene are very important, especially since this is the lockdown era. So basically setting up stations just for that, for privacy, and also for maintaining our own hygiene. Body wipes, makeshift hip baths, things like that. And then for food, I think we do have to go on regular runs for food, and making sure we can actually survive all of this. So I think what Leah does is takes advantage of the funds. We're going to be eating a lot of takeout, I'm not going to lie. But it's better than nothing. And a lot of takeout, a lot of coffee and tea, depending on what people like. But no alcohol, not for this. I don't think we need that for our minds at this point.
Adrian would put a request in for some monsters, though, or some energy drinks. Just
There's probably a good Costco run there just for like coffee and cream and, that sort of stuff.
Or a nearby grocery store, whatever would work. That's the least conspicuous. I think Leah would probably have to request another person come with her just for the runs, just to help out with getting things there and stuff. But otherwise, I think it's pretty manageable. Because I think, because the nutrition aspect is important, because you have to feed your brain to make sense of any of this, and we have enough trauma going on already.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, and these last two are open to the group, so whoever wants to chime in, please feel free to do so. But you are very obviously not meant to be here. This place is one stop in a kinetic field operation. Some vital furnishing is missing. Chairs, a table, not toilets because we established we're in an office building, but whatever is missing, what is it and how do you improvise a solution?
I think we spoke a little bit about it earlier about the lack of showers. So I think that's definitely missing. So we're working on temporary hygiene, dry shampoo, wipes, at least for the first bit until we figure out like a way to actually, seem like we're not heathens trapped in a building.
Okay.
I think sort of on an emotional level, what's missing is connection to our bonds. We're not calling home. We're not accepting calls from home or texts from home. We've sort of, I think, all agree that as much as possible, we shut that stuff out so that we could just kind of keep our heads down and focus.
Well, I like that. That's good.
I also don't think we would have the ability to, because we don't have our phones on us when we're actively researching. We're not able to check in on those people. So that definitely makes a lot of sense.
And then last but not least, at the end of the day, all of this is still technically government work. There is some kind of persistent flaw that mars this location, whether it's these hissing fluorescent lights, music from a gym next door, the stink of a dead rat in a wall. The imperfection forms a backdrop across everything you all are learning here. And it is the detail most ready to mind when you all remember this place. What is that detail?
What time of year is this again?
It is currently July 7th of 2020.
And we're in St. Louis.
St. Louis, Missouri, yep.
St. Louis in the summer is ungodly hot and humid.
Yeah, I was going to say humidity and the fact that we probably don't have central air. It's just creating this sort of sweltering cesspool crockpot of tension and stuffiness. We don't really trust, obviously opening the windows enough to keep things as covert as possible. So I think that we're just all sort of sweltering and baking in this place.
Yeah, and with the office probably largely shut down to save on money and bills, the AC was probably the first thing that got cut since nobody's going to be working in this space. So yeah, that makes sense. Well, with that, you all set about the grim task of rebuilding and analyzing the life of Jacob Tillman, also known as Esau Tillman, also known as Conradin. It is now the early morning hours of Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. While Pitzerelli is due to arrive in St. Louis that morning, he is nevertheless holding firm to his promise to give you 24 hours to see what you can find, and will likely not even come to this location until the afternoon, giving you that full span of time. You all know that you must brief him on your findings and determine a way ahead on how to deal with Conradin and whatever it is he's up to in El Paso, Texas. But you all have your findings. You all have your information. The first step is to brief each other. And the floor is yours to do so.
I mean, I can start out with a little bit about the illegal agenda document. Okay. All right. So everybody, listen up. I wrote some notes down, but here, there's this book, The Illegal Agenda, published in 2019. It talks about the role of Stephen Miller as a driver of work that's going on in the government itself. This subversive group undermining. I guess it's undermining immigration in the United States. Although it sounds like sort of this is like the new plan. To be honest with you, it sounds a little bit like Delta Green to me. Secret groups working off the books, kind of like tight operational security. Maybe they're not communicating with each other. These people are all working at these lower levels to enact policy goals, but the policy's not being made. It's not being handed down from up high. They're subverting the system. Probably the scariest part of this whole thing is the idea of secret facilities. Anything could be happening here. I mean, seriously. Why would they be secret if bad things aren't happening there? I think the other big thing just in my summary of this is this book clearly establishes a connection between Stephen Miller, and it seems like there's a direct connection between Miller and Chasen, at least. I mean, you guys are seeing that too, right?
Yeah. So I've been going over some of the documents about Esau. Well, first is regarding his name change. He had changed it back in 2011. He was only 17 at the time. He changed it from Jacob to Esau. It was apparently to distance himself from his father's work. Apparently his father gained notoriety for the kind of work that he did. Filed it in Arizona. But other than that, when he applied to Duke, there was, as far as I could tell, transcripts, just essentially he wrote himself as Esau. Kind of a side note, and Adrian will sort of go through, going through some tabs. I don't know how much this might be relevant, but I was curious because the name Esau is, it's kind of a unique one. There's a few small things about it that kind of pinged to me. It apparently means red in Hebrew, but it's not the only thing that it means. It was also the eldest son of Isaac from the Hebrew Bible. It's also apparently means hairy or rough or even worker. I mean, if I want to go real conspiracy theory on it, something about the whole hairy predator thing, I don't know, but just something to maybe keep in your back pocket. But to your other point about Chasen, back in 2015, Esau didn't get anything resembling a background check. I mean, there were 2 interviews done. One was with Chasen and the other was with Chasen's father, Kyle, who was already a prominent ICE contractor. Both of them painted him as hardworking, scrupulous, honest, and most importantly, patriotic. But other than that, there was no criminal record check, no bank records check, no family interviews, none of that. I think that if anyone's involved, it's someone powerful. They were powerful enough, at least, to look the other way.
Now, you said that Esau changed his name from Jacob. Was that because of some kind of falling out he had with his father?
I'm not sure what his father did, at least not initially. He wanted to distance himself more from fame that the work that his father was doing was bringing to him.
Yeah, his father was I was reading his memoirs. So his father said that he had raised Jacob after the death of his wife. In 1994, Jacob was pronounced missing, and then the case was never pursued. But then he was found later after the Cornucopia House incident, and he sued the FBI and then went on functionally like a road trip where he proclaimed that he homeschooled Jacob. But the problem was, as later revealed, that he hadn't homeschooled him at all. He had just left him in these detention facilities / education centers that were very much run by the Laharty family as like the premier in like privatized jail and like re-education. So it could have been that he felt resentful to his father for everything that he had put him through, or he was trying to follow the path that he had been sent down with the Lahartys. And that's, from what I had read, Jacob had overwhelming trauma from his abduction, and Eli talks about how his homeschooling had benefited him and like basically rehabilitated him, which is not really true because he used honestly a very bad method of homeschooling in like using movies to try to relate with his son. Again, all bullshit, honestly. And he had used like experimental, like I said, boarding schools and detention centers to keep him while he was making those memoirs.
Did he happen to say what movies? Just out of curiosity.
Just popular films with Jacob, so it wasn't like, I don't even have specific movie names.
Okay. Any of this pinging for you, Sarah, or?
Yeah, so just to be clear, the first thing that I went through was this book called The Illegal Agenda. It's written by some guys who are knowledgeable, but presumably not connected to this conspiracy. And yeah, so that's the important part. The other thing I got a hold of here was actually Eli Tillman's tax returns from 2016. They do show that Tillman works for ICE. He also does side work for Life Force, which is Laharty's company, right? The dad, not the kid. He seems to be working in this place called Frank Harvey Water Reclamation Plant in El Paso. And based on what I'm seeing from this Illegal Agenda book, my guess is that's probably one of those secret facilities they're talking about. That might be a great place to start, guys.
Yeah, okay. Well, we got access to that file on that missing child who was Jacob. That was locked down. So that was on December 13th, 1994. Jacob Tillman, reported missing by his mother, Delilah. She claimed she put him in his car seat while they were at a Walmart. She moved to get into her driver's seat, and he disappeared in that time. Surveillance footage was checked, and it showed an unidentified woman walking up to her after she had placed the baby down. And after speaking with her, Delilah seemed to fall into some kind of trance. She stood unmoving, just staring at her purse while the woman took Jacob and left. Delilah, stood there for about 30 minutes before she woke up and started panicking that her child was gone. And then Jacob remained missing until March 2001, when he was one of 19 children found abandoned at a burning Maryland orphanage called Cornucopia House. Elena Calamatiano, the owner, was missing, presumed dead. She couldn't be directly linked to the kidnapping, but I think it's somewhat safe to assume, knowing what we know about her. Jacob had been given a false name during his time there, Conrad Hopko, but ultimately DNA testing linked him back to the Tillmans. There were no leads until 2001. Maryland officials attempted to identify the 20 children that were found there. And yeah, he was identified as Jacob Tillman. And I mean, just some shitty fucking luck that eventually he went back to his father to be put through even more trauma and not even given the chance to heal from what he went through at Cornucopia House.
Yeah.
Shitty fucking luck and a pretty big drop ball on our part.
Yeah, speaking of that, the reason why this case has been locked down tight, even to us when we inquired about it last time, was because of civil lawsuits that Eli Tillman filed against the FBI, alleging negligence, harassment, and libel, primarily because the Tillmans, Jacob and Delilah, were the primary suspects in their son's disappearance for so long. Delilah ultimately would go on to commit suicide, unable to handle the pressure of that and just not being able to answer any questions about where her son went when she had him. After the recovery of Jacob Tillman, the DOJ and FBI negotiated settlements with Eli in exchange for his signing strict hold harmless and non-disclosure agreements. The Office of General Counsel recommends that all information about the case be kept confidential. Any personnel who try to contact the Tillman family or their representatives or look into the case any further would face disciplinary action.
Jesus.
So basically they harassed the hell out of this family and then found their child in this, essentially an adoption center where he was horrifically abused, and whatever processes should have realized he was a kidnapped child and returned him to his family much, much earlier. Those just didn't work.
This is probably why when we tried to look into this earlier, we got turned away, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you say that Jacob was given the name Conrad Hopko?
Yes, or from what we can assume, Conradin.
So, Jacob is Conradin.
I think that's safe to say, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's safe to make that conjecture, yes.
Bear's mind is blown.
Yeah. What your information tracks with the memoirs for the most part, especially since Tillman had to cease and desist and shut up, basically. He had to build his memoirs around something else, which is basically his religious conversion and everything that happened there. Do the names, and she's asking the team, do the names Clovis or Clark come up anywhere for either of you?
Clovis? No.
No. Not in anything I found.
Okay. Just because I know he was probably lying, but I just wanted to make sure. But Eli Tillman, he said he had hired a tutor and a driver to help him with raising and traveling the country with raising Jacob, but obviously a lie.
Wait, Clovis was the name?
Yeah, Clovis.
And what was the other name?
Clark.
Clark. Does that remind Sarah?
No, that was Clove.
Well, 2 C's, and you know how the naming system works.
I mean, it was an Agent Clove that first brought all of this to me, gave me that file, and then had me bring all of you in. I don't know exactly if Clove and Clovis, maybe they were in the same cell, C-cell. I don't know. But
Make an int ×5 check for me.
okay.
Yeah, Tillman's not a friendly or... Yeah.
Yeah, with a 66 under 80. You recall that the story Sredni Vashtar, a name that you have heard come up constantly in your investigation since Cornucopia House. You remember that story appeared in a book called The Chronicles of Clovis by Saki.
Oh, okay. There was that book with the Sredni Vashtar poem that had to do with Clovis.
That can't be a coincidence, right?
No, absolutely not. Not with a name like that.
And Leah, you would have found in your research into Eli Tillman's memoirs in that Hype Train book that came out in 2015,
Yeah.
that there was no record that Clovis or Clark existed.
Yeah. That's why she thinks it's a lie, because she's like, neither of them existed per the Hype Train book. So she does say that there may be no actual records of Clovis or the Clark, but maybe Jacob made them up. I know Eli wrote about them, but Jacob might have made them up.
Where was Agent Clove at this time? This was between the time at Cornucopia House and when she was murdered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't keep in touch.
But I mean, we looked into her death. Do we know when she came to Florida? If that would at least jibe with the timeline that after the time where she was supposed to be doing this, that she would be in Florida, or?
You remember during your investigation into Crystal Killian that there was no job history or tax records before 2008. And that's when she took her one and only job at Florida Southwestern State College.
Okay, so at least we can't rule out that Clovis is Clove. But we can't say that, oh no, Clove was in Florida when he was a child.
The Roadshow is the book that recounts Clovis and Clark, but that was published in 2009. So yeah.
Okay, that would have been pretty close, but
yeah,
it's possible. It's possible.
He probably would have graduated around 2012 or 2011. He was 17 in 2011, so.
Yeah, okay.
So in 2018, there was an officer in El Paso named Baxter who claims that, the Trump policy, the separation of all the children, the unaccompanied minors, and adult refugees had not stopped. Unfortunately, it was supposed to have stopped in 2018, and that they were treated terribly, and an Agent Tillman was a frequent name dropped in this investigation. He has stated he worked for ICE and that he was taking unaccompanied minors and children and babies away from their mothers because he had arrested their mothers for illegal entry to the country. And then he took custody of the minors, allegedly for their protection. And Baxter reports that there's similar things like this happening in Haitian and Salvadorian communities, and that Tillman was referred to as something as called the babysitter or el niñero. That's what immigrant mothers had called him. And that he was based in an unlisted ICE facility in El Paso, where the child separation program had been started in mid-2017. And he also thinks that, Baxter thinks that the babysitter or el niñero was kidnapping children earlier in over 600 ICE raids in the second week of Trump's administration. And the courts reinstated the protective status for immigrants, and ICE, they didn't heed the concerns of the nurses on the facilities and denied having continued separating parents from their children. So there's unfortunately no paper trail, no way we can confirm whether or not they had or had not been complying, or whether they continue to separate mothers from their children, especially since when they're in those facilities, the mothers don't receive prenatal care. So they couldn't tell you. So a lot of children went missing, over 700.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And you guys said that back in Cornucopia House, the kids it wasn't just abuse, it was ritualistic abuse, right?
Yeah.
Yes, extremely.
So that was 20 kids?
19 was left.
19 was left.
There were bodies. There were so many bodies.
700 is a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Oh, in the books that I read, The Illegal Agenda, they're talking about this secret group that's doing all this stuff at secret facilities. One of the big questions I have is, what are the goals of this group? And I think at this point, Bear might even go to, if we're in a conference room and we have a whiteboard, Bear might start, writing down questions. And underneath, several question marks, he'll put, what are this secret group's goals?
Well, let's recap everything you all have found. So Jacob Tillman, Esau Tillman, and Conradin are all the same boy from Cornucopia House. The paper trail that you've built of his childhood paints a picture of effortless evasion, dodging detection by the program through coincidences and luck that cannot possibly be natural. Jacob Tillman's father, Eli Tillman, wrote popular memoirs about Jacob's abduction, rescue, and recovery. And then after recovering enough from his ordeal to achieve some sort of independence, Jacob Tillman legally changed his name to Esau Tillman right before he turned 18 and applied to Duke. He effectively buried his notorious childhood under a different legal identity. Esau Tillman, Conradin, formed ties to the wealthy Lardy family, who was recently awarded lucrative for-profit prison contracts by changes in U.S. immigration policy. Conradin works for ICE. He has been using every abuse of power perpetrated by the Trump administration to essentially build a new cornucopia house. And he wants to call down cosmic forces by hiding the ritual inside everyday horrors. With the current administration and Tillman's connections, almost nothing can legally be done to stop him. And for those of you with Unnatural, go ahead and make a roll at plus 20%. Leah with a 98 over 22, Bear with a 44 over 21, and Sarah with a 54 over 22. Okay.
Oh, you were so close, Jack.
And Adrian with a 25 over 23. Bummer. Okay. But that's what you've learned.
Can I push on something to maybe boost that? Or like reduce a bond or something like that? Just to like, so I'm so close.
Yeah, screw it. Take away 2 willpower and take away 2 from a bond of your choice.
Fantastic. Sorry, Mom.
But with that, we'll call that a success at 23%. Something does make itself abundantly clear to you, Adrian. Babushka's torments at Cornucopia House meant to light a beacon for the gods. The wrong god answered, blessing the sacrifice over the sorceress. Conradin, who was meant to be that sacrifice, summoned the original 5 there in 2001. You all are his creatures, and you are leashed to his fate. Now he is doing it again, igniting the beacon, singing Sredni Vashtar awake to hunt forever, and making more things like you. Go ahead and roll sanity.
Love to see it.
Damn.
I was thinking, yeah, because he's become what he hates in order to create more of what he had brought.
Yeah, he's restarting everything.
Well, that was a success.
45 under 60. You lose 1 due to the unnatural.
Yeah, there's a moment where Bear's sort of at the whiteboard, kind of writing things down, and Adrian, taking a slurp out of his white monster, just sort of perks up. And he says, "Shut up, Bear." He's doing it. He's doing what that Elenia, Babushka, the Baba Yaga, what she was doing.
He's making videos of kids?
No, it's a ritual. It's she was lighting the beacon. She was calling out to forces, gods, deities, whatever you want to call them. And he starts to look at Sarah when he's saying this. She didn't get the right one, right? Whatever answered her call took an interest in the kids, in the sacrifices.
Right.
And so he has essentially, he's like an avatar for this, I guess, Bast, this ancient predator goddess. Or not maybe not an avatar, but at least like a mouthpiece, a priest or something. That's what he wants to be. He's trying to do what she did, what Baba did, but with more and with more protection. He's entrenched in this now. He's got everything that ICE has at his disposal. We can't stop him with the law. Badges and litigation and bureaucracy aren't going to cut it.
No, not with this administration. Okay, so he's restarting things, but with more intention, because he's not reaching out just to anyone. He's reaching out to Bast.
And we're prey.
Right. And he has 700 kids potentially at his disposal.
More than that at this point.
So I think Bear is gonna write down what are Conradin's goals as a follow-up to what's the secret group's goals. Because the secret group is like led by Miller, I think, from what I've read. But what are Conradin's goals? And then I'm going to write underneath that like some bullet points, and one of them is going to be to make more kids like him.
Just sacrifice them.
Yeah, to worship Bast. Yeah.
Okay, so the second line will be to feed Bast.
It's to reproduce us. It's to the way that we're connected to him. He wants more connections. He wants more, I don't know, fear, more power. I don't know what that connection is or means, but he just wants more of it.
I think Bear almost absent-mindedly, when you say to make more like us, he will say predators.
I mean, predator and prey is subjective, right? I mean, we were at one point we were the prey, but to all those kids that we took out, we were predators. We hunted them down. We killed them.
Since Bear's at the whiteboard right now, you can see what he's writing down. Basically, what are Conradin's goals? To make more kids like him, to feed Bast, to make more predators like us. And he'll underline us.
For those of you with bureaucracy, go ahead and make a roll.
Oh my God, 3s?
Look at that. 3 is the number.
So Adrian, with a 3 under 76, Bear with a 3 under 65, you both succeed.
I feel like we're like linking minds now.
Leah with a 74 over 54, and Sarah with a 52 over 45, you fail. For you, Adrian and Bear, grim experience has taught you both to be cynical. There is almost no chance that Delta Green will act on this. Esau Tillman, Conradin, has ties to private prison contractors, ICE, and the Trump administration. Anything that happens to him has to be explained to a ravenous press and undergo scrutiny from multiple factions within the U.S. security state and politics. As repercussions spread, Delta Green might even be forced to brief the president on the existence of the unnatural. The same president who revealed U.S. nuclear secrets to a Russian foreign minister mere days into office. Meanwhile, Conradin's abuse appears from the outside to be one more sadistic embarrassment in a cascade of mundane American atrocities. And of course, that doesn't rate as a threat compared to exposure of the program. Now, between you two, who has the lowest sanity?
I think it's Bear.
I think it is, yeah. Bear is at 46 right now.
Bear, you are convinced the program will not accept the risk. The order to retreat is coming. Now, whether you decide to repeat this suspicion to the group is up to you.
Yeah. Bear will say, even if we get Pitzerelli on our side, they're going to shut this down. I've seen it before. No way they're going to let us pursue this.
Then we tell Pitzerelli just enough and we go rogue. I'm not crazy, right? I mean, we can't let this happen again.
No, you're right.
All those kids. This is so much worse than it was before. We can't let that happen again.
On that same note, Leah, make a medicine roll, and Adrian, once again, make an occult roll.
Oh boy.
Both of you have a 20% bonus.
18 out of 80.
And Adrian with a 65 under 71. Beautiful. In this moment, mulling over the sheer amount of information that has come at you and that you are parsing through and processing right now, you just do simple cold arithmetic. The Scopsy, this cult that ran and operated in and around Cornucopia House, inflicted language neglect on their victims for decades. The silence may have been designed to hide their abuse, but some victims heard something in the void without a voice. Language somehow interferes with Bast, with this hidden god, weakening control over the animal of man. In contrast, Tillman's operations have been going for 2 years, maybe less. That's still inside the age range of cognitive linguistic development. The children inside can still recover. They can be saved. You can stop at this time, but only if you go now. Every delay means more pain, more trauma, more brain damage. Every second brings the children closer to eternal silence and risks spawning more teeth for the hunt. Do either of you bring this to the group?
Yeah, I think Leah's like, you're not wrong, because we have the timeline to actually stop this before it gets as bad as the cornucopia house. The children in there, they haven't been in there for more than 2 years. They can come back from this much better than Conradin could or any of the children there.
I don't presume to know everything about whatever this stuff is. If you want to call it magic, we'll call it magic. But from everything I've seen and everything you've told me, there's a component, a verbal component to all of it. It's born in speech. There's a connection. And I think that if what you're saying is true, the whole silence thing, if we're able to get them to, even if just speak and get them speaking, it might, I don't know, it might break whatever hold or whatever ritual component. I know it sounds crazy, but
It's not, because remember, we got the information from one of them, from one of the children who chose to recover and speak. She was ostracized, abused by the others who weren't able to do so. But she stopped hearing that voice. She was able to break free. Nika, remember?
Well, you're right. Wow. I think I was just kind of telling myself that it was insane, and I gotta stop doing that.
I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to do it. Unless we want more people to end up like us, chasing these people forever.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not us now, it's going to be... I mean, fuck, am I going to find a folder and recruit someone new? Am I going to be the new Clove? And then 20 years from now, they're right back here where we are, and it's just never ending?
I don't want to have to live in a trailer in Florida.
No. God forbid.
I don't want to be torn apart by animals just because we have the shitty luck of this happening.
You don't want to be torn up by animals more than you already have.
This is why she wanted me to kill the kids the first time. So that's a question we have to ask ourselves when we get there and we find what's going on. If there's another Conradin, what do we do?
I mean, how do we know if there is another Conradin? How do you diagnose something like that?
I don't know.
These ICE detention facilities, they haven't had nearly as much time to do that kind of damage to them. They are damaged, they are abused, but it's recoverable, if that's understandable. Like, the human mind can recover from a lot, and what we really need to do is to make sure these kids can't repeat what was done for them. And if they're too small, they won't remember. Because a lot of babies and children who were taken. They took babies from the ICU in a hospital.
They'll remember. Maybe not all of it, but they'll remember.
They'll be traumatized, but they can recover from the trauma. And if they have language, they won't hear Bast.
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
I'm willing to take a chance that they'll turn out okay, as long as we do something now.
Were there any medical files on Jacob Tillman?
None that you could find.
That's fair. He was road tripping with his father, and his father is one of those.
I think Bear is going to look at Sarah and say, Sarah, from your conversations before and everything, you probably know Pitzerelli better than any of us. But what do you think? Do you think we can share this with him? Or do you think we have to cut him out? I don't think it can go higher than him.
I mean, I think even if we tell him nothing and we just go, he'll find out. I think this would be hard to hide from him entirely.
But maybe we can stop him from stopping us.
Yeah, I mean, we could always approach it and try and get a feeling of what his thoughts on it all are. If it's, not just the procedural part of it and the obligations to the program, but if he agrees in the urgency of it all with us beyond that. Because I agree, we're going regardless. It would just be a lot easier if he wasn't sending people after us to shut us down.
There's another way we can stop him from sending people after us. He's coming here.
Are you wanting to kill him?
I think at that, Bear kind of breaks down a little bit. He's like, I don't fucking know.
I think that might be a little too far.
Is it though?
Walk me through what that would look like.
I don't know. I'm just saying. And Adrian pops open another monster and puts it to his lips to keep himself from having to explain himself.
Okay, well, we're not plotting to murder another member of the program so that we can go rogue unless someone has a very firm idea of the consequences that will follow that. Let's just be clear.
I've been doing this too long to think that if I did something that went against their program, that I would last very long. I think Pitzerelli knows that. And I think that if he wants to do something that goes against us, we don't owe him anything more than what we think he would give us in that situation.
We could have just been killed years ago. He gave us the chance to fix what happened there.
Maybe we give him a chance. Maybe we bring it to him and let him give us his natural reaction and be prepared to act on that reaction.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying we kill him. I know that was rash and impulsive. And he's an asshole, but he's done good by me. But, I mean, we know what the program's going to say. At the end of the day, it's all bureaucratic bullshit. Like, they're still kissing ass, and they're still working under this bullshit administration. I am still working under this bullshit administration. All of us, he kind of points at everyone, are still working under all of this. We have to accept a very real possibility that he's going to say no, that he's going to shut us down. He's going to say thank you. Now trash everything that you found or forget about it. And he looks at Sarah at this point. Are you ready to throw it all away? Are you ready to stop?
No, that doesn't mean I'm ready to pull out my gun and shoot him either.
I think the program's going to be after us either way.
Yeah, but if we give what we have to Pitzerelli up front, it gives them the advantage.
What if we just leave it for him?
Or don't give him everything. Just give him the basics. Get his reaction. If he tries to shut us down, then we have the information that we really need and we can just go. And he won't have enough, hopefully, to follow us immediately or send anyone after us. We can withhold some of this from him until we know for sure.
What part do we withhold to make this any better in his eye?
Not better, just, I don't know. There has to be some part of it that if he was to say, hand it all over, and we handed him over everything, quote unquote everything, that maybe there's still something that we could keep. Whether we back it up, we keep it private until we know for sure. That if we get the order to destroy everything, we can seemingly comply and then just leave.
I still think our best option is to present him with what we got. And if he says that he can't support us, then we gotta at least stop him from stopping us. Maybe that looks like leaving him tied up in a building for a weekend. I don't know.
What's the plan? Are we going to tell him the truth? Are we going to lie? How are we going to approach the briefing with Pitzerelli?
I mean, above the table, I'm not sure what lie we can tell. I mean, we have to separate this from ICE in order to sell it to him, right?
Yeah, but I think he already has that piece.
Yeah, that's the problem.
There is no separating it from him because he is, like, if we tell him who he is, one quick search and he knows, oh, he's a part of it.
Right.
And another quick search and, oh, he's in cahoots with these two really powerful people.
I mean, we could try and say that Tillman and Chase and Lottie are working at this plant, this water plant in Texas, and we could try and say that, you know, it's not related to their work. They're doing something else, but I don't know that becomes believable.
What reasons to take down ESO? What resources do we have other than the program? Because we're thinking we're going rogue anyways. Because I don't think, like you said, the program is not going to go for it. It poses too much risk.
Bear is going to point to a couple of cases with long guns that are sitting with his luggage.
I mean, we have our current fake IDs and all the information we have now, and that's maybe about it.
Do we have any information about the facilities? About where we would go in these unlisted ICE facilities?
We can look it up. I mean, if our concern is Esau, we can try and get him off base.
He's only one part. He's the leader.
I know, but I'm just saying if we can at least get him off base, it makes things a little bit easier trying to get on the base to get these kids out.
Yeah.
Or we find him off base and we, I don't know, try to get him to do our work for us. And
I just showed you a couple of handouts of the El Paso area and the general location of the Frank Harvey water reclamation plant.
I know we were talking about what we're going to do about Pitzerelli, but I feel like that's a moot point unless we have a plan on what we're going to do if we get there. Because we just have to assume we don't have the program's resources and also assume that Pitzerelli is either going to turn a blind eye or is not going to be involved. Because I don't think he can condone it.
No, at best, I think.
He could give us head start.
Yeah, and kind of like, don't tell me anything and just go.
Yeah. Because I understand what you're saying, Bear, about him not sending people after us, but it's out of his hands. It's the program. The program will always send people after us.
Yeah. I'm saying he has to agree to at least cover for us.
No, he doesn't even have to do that.
If he doesn't, I'm saying that I'm going to do my job. If you all agree, I'm not going to do this without you.
I'm not condoning killing another person here. Absolutely not.
would you stand in his way?
In Bear's way?
Yeah.
Is that what it would take? Me literally standing in front of him? And she looks at Bear.
I don't know.
Bear has a look in his eyes right now that I think you might recognize from some previous incidents.
Yeah. In predator mode.
I mean, that's not to change the subject, but that's the other question here is are we just playing into Bath's hands?
Probably.
Because they said they want to make people like us predators, killers.
They want to make her teeth.
Teeth.
They want to make connections to this world, I think, to her, to stop what had happened to them over and over and over again. It was in that history, how they keep the survivors of the first become the sorcerers to again start the cycle again. If we stop it now, we can at least stop this strand here. Because we did it before. Bass doesn't want any of this happening. You tore that. Leah stops there. There's something in that being that hates what Elena and what the Skopsky do, and hates every part of it. The problem is the survivors use that to perpetuate it.
At some point, I got the feeling that the kids were made into hunters. And I'm not sure that what's happened to us is that different. I think that we're being made into the same thing.
Question. Just because I wasn't there when it happened, but the way that you guys talk about this stuff and just from what I've read, if Boss came down, metaphorically or literally, I don't know, but if she answered the whatever silent call that these kids were putting out, did she bring you all to them?
Yeah, that's what I assume. So, from my understanding, we were all marked in some way by an animal. And Bast moves through the instinctive, the animalistic mind, the animalistic subconscious, because we're all animals in the end. So Bast moves through that subconscious, and all of us were marked before we actually reached Cornucopia House. In hindsight, which is wild.
So if she's marked you and I guess me, haven't forgotten about that bat, she's strong enough to have probably marked some other people. And if she knew that she needed to mark people to get those kids out of there, then A, why didn't she just do that? Why didn't she just get some other people to get them out of there?
They have to call her.
I think she doesn't care if she's being fed by those kids or by us, because either way she gets fed.
Sarah, with your 87 in alertness, you hear the office door open.
Okay, great. Good talk.
Holy shit.
Glad we decided on something. She gets up.
I think Bear was starting to write a big E on the whiteboard, and he quickly like tries to wipe it off.
Writing pizza. It's pizza.
Must be.
Yeah, I'll head towards the door.
You can see Anthony Pitzerelli walking down the hallway towards the small office that you have called home for the past 24 hours.
Does he carry a gun on him when he comes out to these things?
So I'll tell you this. You know, as a private citizen, Anthony Pitzerelli absolutely owns a firearm. You know that assistant U.S. attorneys don't arm with firearms in the daily course of their duties like you do, or like Adrian does, or like Bear does.
Can I look over my shoulder, make sure I'm not being followed, kind of as if I'm trying to hide something from my team, and then just kind of wanting to give him like a little hug. You know, being like, oh my God, it's good to see you. And I want to feel for a gun, like very subtly.
Yeah.
Make an alertness roll.
Oh God. Ooh, success.
47 under 87. You go to hug Pitzerelli, and he looks confused for a second. He's surprised by this, especially considering how your last conversation went. And his arms kind of come up a little bit as you wrap your arms around him. And as you do so, your hand brushes against his side, and you feel the butt of a firearm underneath his jacket.
Okay. At least I know.
What's that about? He says very quietly.
Just so this conversation's probably going to suck. But wanted to get that out of the way. Come on.
That bad, huh?
Worse.
He breathes deep, says okay, and follows you back.
And I'm not going to stand between him and Bear, obviously and directly the entire time, but I'm keeping one eye on Bear at all times.
Okay.
You know what? As we are sitting here, Bear is going to move, if we have a desk or just chairs or whatever, Bear's going to move a chair and put it kind of in the middle of the room, toward a little bit front of center, with the obvious that here's a place for Pitzerelli to get a front row seat and watch the presentation.
Okay. Yeah, the three of you watch. Sarah enters first, and just behind her is Pitzerelli. He gives you all a nod, says, "It's hot as fuck in here."
God, I know it fucking sucks.
Well, leaves the suit jacket on despite the heat. And seeing this chair in the so-called position of honor, takes a seat.
So Bear's going to take a seat in the back of the room.
Okay.
Adrian is like sitting on the floor up against the wall, just nursing a can of Monster, not wanting to deal with this.
Another thing Bear's going to do when Pitzerelli comes in, he's going to go and get that cooler, and he's going to show the cooler full of cell phones to Pitzerelli and say, OPSEC, you know.
He nods, takes out his cell phone, puts it in the cooler. You're learning. That's good to see.
I'm going to be honest with you. I saw it on an episode of Law and Order.
Gets the job done. So what'd you find? What do you got?
I mean, out of character, are we just telling him everything?
I mean, I don't think we decided that. I think Bear is kind of looking to you.
Okay.
But if the other people have other feedback, I'm fine.
I mean, I think where we left off was Adrian didn't want to tell him anything beyond the basics and to see what his reaction would be. Just to the basics, not like anything involving like a giant ritual with, sacrificing children. But yeah, he wants to give him just enough to see where he goes from there. That's just where Adrian is.
Okay. If there's like some hesitancy in the room, Sarah will probably start.
You don't have to go through everything. Just give me the cliff notes of what you tell him.
I mean, I think she'll confirm, the Jacob Conradin to Esau lineup. I mean, I think she might think he already knows or was aware of some of the content of what this case was. But yeah, confirming that based on the case summary and then the lawsuits and all of that, and that he is now in ICE and writing some really questionable things and has a lot of access to kids, which is all stuff that I don't think would be surprising news, but just is now confirmed.
Yeah, as you go through it, Pitzerelli blanches a bit, whether it's because of the heat or because of what he's learning is up for debate. He eventually gets up from his chair and begins pacing as he listens, rubbing his now sweat-sodden forehead.
Can I do a human roll just to kind of see if I pick up on any other tics or mannerisms or anything like that?
Yeah, go for it.
40 over 21.
Bummer. Okay. Yeah, he just looks perturbed by what he's learned. Okay, so the last surviving kid from Cornucopia House, who hasn't committed any murders that we know of, is now working for ICE in El Paso with free reign and access to children. Do we have any reason to believe he's a threat?
I mean, best case scenario, he is mentally unwell and has never recovered from the trauma that happened to him and has now been given authority over a bunch of kids in a situation that is already fucked. And I would assume it would trigger something at the very least, and that's best case scenario.
Considering also the applications of the people he's trying to bring into ICE, Rapp's application was unfortunately similar to what we had seen before, and the goals of the Skopsky.
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you, but this Tillman guy would not be the first mentally disturbed individual to make it into ICE, never mind federal law enforcement. Look, okay. Thank you for taking this up. Thank you for giving it its due diligence. I appreciate the work you've put into this.
When he's mid-sentence, getting his wrap-up speech ready, she interrupts and says, or, worst case scenario, he's restarting the cycle that started in Cornucopia House, and he is trying to summon something, speak to something, or create something, and we're all going to be here. Well, maybe not us, but there's going to be a new crop of agents running into this in 20 years from now, and this cycle will continue. And more kids will get hurt, more kids will die, and it will never end because we keep looking the other way.
Adrian takes a big gulp of his Monster.
I hear you. I do. I understand the sensitivities here. But
with all due respect, you were not at Cornucopia House. You were not in that place. You did not see that woman, whatever the fuck she was. You did not see those kids. You do not understand.
the only reason we ended up caring is because somehow, some way, your names ended up on somebody's list right when somebody found a shit ton of bodies buried at that place.
And that's fucking bullshit, if I'm being honest. That we only care when our asses are on the line. I am not going to sit and wait for a call when I'm 50 fucking years old that there's another Cornucopia House and I have to go bring in another group of people who are going to have their lives ruined so they can take over, pick up the gauntlet, whatever the fuck it's going to be, and find themselves right here. I am not going to do that.
Unfortunately, I don't think we have any choice here.
I do have a choice. You get to make one right now as well. I'm telling you I've made mine.
He just looks at you, weighing the implications of what you're saying, and you see his shoulders sag a little bit. Like he's with your human, this is not a fight he wants to fight, but he has to anyway, and he doesn't want to. You need to look at this from our perspective.
You need to look at it from their perspective, Pitzerelli. You didn't look in their eyes. We did. There was something missing there. Something gone. And I'll be fucking fucked if I'm going to let this happen to another group of kids.
It's not just that. Every single time they do this, they keep summoning more unnatural into the world, increasing the chances of this happening again and again in different places until the program is overwhelmed and we can't hide this anymore.
I hate to break it to you, we're already overwhelmed.
Then this is going to be a nail in the coffin. Because how else are they going to explain away this?
Well, let me ask you all this. Best case scenario, how do you see this playing out? What exactly do you see happening? What exactly do you propose to do about this? I'm all ears. I want to hear what your plan would be. If I were to give you carte blanche to go and settle this however you saw fit, what would that look like? Because what it sounds like from where I'm sitting is you're talking about launching an unsanctioned raid on a federal detention facility staffed by federal law enforcement officers to rescue children. There are going to be bodies. There's going to be blood. There's going to be a massive fucking crime scene.
Sarah's just kind of nodding quietly.
Which means exposure for what we do, which means uncomfortable questions we will inevitably be forced to answer.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid. Because who the hell knows what this administration would do if I had to brief them or somebody in my chain of command had to brief the administration on what it is we see and deal with.
Then let us take out Esau. He's the only one who knows how to orchestrate this. The others are just meatheads, I think, that he's just working with. But Esau's the sorcerer. He's the one who knows the incantations or the spells or whatever the fuck you want to call them. As long as we take him out, then maybe we have a shot at stopping whatever he's trying to start.
Do we have a confirmed hypergeometric nexus that nobody's told me about? That he's actually using hypergeometry? That he's actually using these rituals?
So we have confirmation that these children had learned from a former associate of Cornucopia House about the rituals that Elena had been starting.
Billy Phil, right?
Yeah. And she had actively been using that magic at that time, correct?
We saw magic, Pitzerelli.
And they're dead.
Yes, but Conradin knows how to do it too.
I see nothing in anything that you've presented me that would lead me to that conclusion.
Well, you haven't talked to these people. You haven't interviewed. We've gathered the information. We know the next steps.
Listen, if you can give me a year, maybe 2.
No.
Let this administration...
We can't. No, you don't listen. And Adrian finally stands up.
What's Bear doing?
Bear set it up so that Pitzerelli is facing the front of the room, and that's where Sarah is. So can Bear pull his gun out without Pitzerelli seeing it?
You'll have to make a stealth roll, and that'll be contested by an alertness roll on his part.
I would like to be alert to it as well.
You can make an alertness roll. Yep. So if this is what you would like to do, Bear, go ahead and roll stealth.
He doesn't do that, but I think, Sarah, you see his, because, I mean, my stealth is shit. Bear does not have the confidence in himself to do this without Pitzerelli knowing. But I think that unconsciously, his hand is drifting towards his holster.
Well, let's do this. Because he's distracted by talking to Adrian and talking to Sarah and all the crosstalk going on, I will give you a 20% bonus.
Oh, no.
All right, I'll do it.
Because I think that makes your stealth at that point a 54.
Yep, yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, I don't like the way this conversation is going, though. I will admit.
Don't either.
He's softening a little bit. He's saying give him time, but at the same time, we can convince him we don't have time.
Okay. I'll just go for it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
A 7 out of 54, if we count my plus 20.
And if you want to roll alertness, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, actually, though, 7's bad for me. I wanted a 3, right?
Yeah, the higher it is, the better.
I got an 18.
Okay, but Daphne definitely sees it.
Sarah, with an 18 under 87, you see this furtive motion of Bear going to grab his gun. Leah, with an 86 over 61, you miss it, and Pitzerelli, with a 60 over 40, misses it.
I move directly in between them. Even if it makes everything incredibly obvious, Sarah is putting herself in between them.
I assume when she does that, Pitzerelli is going to, turn towards Bear, right?
Well, no, because he doesn't know why all of a sudden Sarah got super close and walked up to him like that.
Okay.
Pitzerelli looks at her, and again, this confused look crosses his face. He says, "Listen, I know emotions are running high right now, but this is what I'm telling you to do."
We're trying to tell you we don't have time. We don't.
And what I'm telling you is...
No, shut up. Listen, the unnatural forces, whatever, hypergeometry, magic, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it is taking root in those kids right now. Okay? If they are given even a week more treatment in that facility, the things, the abuses, it's ritualistic. It's meant to quiet them. It's meant to make them primed for whatever rituals are going to take place there. And you're going to have a lot more of this on your hands. And yeah, okay, you're overwhelmed. Well, you want to be even more overwhelmed? Well, that's just what's going to happen. And it's going to be on you. And I know that you probably are going to say, oh, well, I go to sleep at night and have all this other shit in my head and I've done all this. Who cares? You have the opportunity to do the right thing. Give us Esau. That's all I'm asking.
I give you Tillman, and that's all you do.
Sarah, you can see that Bear's shaking his head. That's not all he's going to do.
That's all we'll do. And she's lying.
Make a persuade roll.
No, my persuade's usually so good. Do I get anything because he loves me?
I will say with a 20% bonus, considering your relationship, with a 73 under 86, he nods.
Oh, thank God.
You go after Tillman, and that's it.
Okay.
If you do this sloppy, if you do this half-assed, if you do this in any sort of way that blows back on the program, that blows back on me, you all are done. You understand that?
Yep.
I need all of you to tell me that you understand that.
Yes, sir.
Bear quickly puts his gun away and says, yes, I understand that.
Understood.
Tillman is your only target. I can't give you resources. I can't give you backing other than what you've already got. But you find him, you kill him. Make it look like an accident, make it look like a suicide. I don't care how you fucking do it. Disappear him, whatever. You do it smart, you do it clean, and then you go the fuck home. Because if I hear even one measly, trivial iota of feckless fucks in suits sniffing around a detention facility, unlisted or otherwise, in the El Paso County area, I am sending everything I can after you.
Heard loud and clear.
She just very quietly says understood, knowing that she just literally stepped in front of a gun for him.
Okay. Well, you know more than I do, so I don't want to know what you do. I don't want to know how you do it. I don't want to know when you do it. Just let me know it's done, and that'll be it.
I mean, we're going to need a few weeks to prepare, right?
He doesn't want to know.
I can give you one before people are going to start asking questions. If you can't get it done in 1 week, I would be very surprised considering what I've seen you all do with less time.
We'll do it in 1 week.
All right. Happy hunting, I guess. Then he leaves.
As soon as he walks out of the room and there's a couple like beats waiting for the kind of like hearing the footsteps clear, Adrian like and like slides down the wall.
Good Lord, what the fuck?
Bear pulls his gun back out of the holster and makes sure that the safety's back on.
You're really going to shoot him, huh?
I'm sorry, what?
You heard him.
And he was top downable?
He wanted a year. He's thinking about the program first.
Sarah, go ahead and make a sand roll for me.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of possibly seeing if we could infiltrate the facility itself, maybe try to put everyone asleep, and then go and do what we need to. But a week? I don't know if we can do that in a week.
Yeah, Sarah, with a 40 under 43, you only lose 1 from lying to a person who I think Sarah possibly loves or close to it.
Yeah. And then, him being like, I'm going to send people after you if you fuck this up. Like, okay, great. Thanks, man. I think that's why she's quiet right now. She's thinking things.
Adrian will say, listen, I'm sorry. I know that I was probably out of line. It felt kind of good to tell him to shut up, though.
Yeah, it always does.
But I know I just kind of threw out, give us Tillman. But knowing what we know, it's not going to be enough, is it?
I think it's a good first step.
We need to at least get Tillman, like Esau, and the information he has, the records he has, whatever books he's writing in or reading. If he's even writing or reading, like, how is he talking to people and still continuing this? His children couldn't. I don't know.
Well, I think our first thing we need to do is we need to think about getting down to Texas, because that's where he's at, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's get down to Texas, and then we'll spend a couple days, staking it out, seeing if we can maybe get a beat on his movements. I'll do what I can to see what kind of online history he's got. See if I can, I don't know, get to any of his emails or anything like that.
Think you could hack into ICE?
I mean, I can always try, but that's gonna be tough.
We could try. I mean, better try than,
Yeah.
I can get you past the firewall. I've got an account.
With ICE?
With Homeland Security.
Out of character, as an agent, would I already have clearance like that too, or no?
You probably wouldn't, since FBI falls under the Department of Justice, but both ICE and Homeland Security investigations fall under Department of Homeland Security.
Okay, so yeah, I think he would know that then. I would.
Yeah, I think Bear would just be like, they gave me this account on this server years ago. I don't even know how to use it, but I've got an email with my username and password somewhere.
It's a start.
Who's got accounting?
I've got a 10.
I got it. 10.
I've got 50.
10.
Okay. Well, go ahead and make an accounting roll, Adrian. Beautiful. 37 under 50. I will say with your accounting and Bear's access to internal ICE networks, What you find is that most of Tillman's pay and finances are filtered through an ICE black budget. So you find that Tillman has never paid rent or a mortgage, but he's listed as the manager of a single rental property owned by a Laherty subsidiary called School Shield. And you have an address for that property.
Good place to start. Okay. I just because I'll probably have some more questions because I do want to like look into some of his personal life to see if I can dig anything up.
Well, I will tell you, even if you just use whatever time you have left before you all decide to head to El Paso, you try to do a cursory search online for any kind of social media presence or anything associated to Esau Tillman, and you find nothing. It is a black hole.
I mean, that kind of makes sense given his personal history. He's practically nonverbal. Well, he was, I guess.
Yeah.
No online presence, no social media presence, nothing. So the first step, getting to El Paso.
Yes.
How are we doing that? Flying, driving?
How long of a drive is it?
Drive, it is about 17 and a half, 18 hours.
It's a flight. It has to be a flight.
Yeah, we've only got a week.
Unless we get lucky, it might take 17 hours to get there by flying, you know?
Yeah, depending on when the first flight out is.
I don't know. St. Louis is a hub. There's probably more flights, but yeah, I don't know.
I was just thinking there'd be less of a paper trail if we picked up a rental car with like cash or something here and drove down.
Bing bong.
Especially since we're all going together.
Yeah.
True.
I think at this point, nobody's really worried about finances or the state of their finances. I'd be surprised if anybody was really concerned about that at this point. Might be good to just go and pay cash for a used car, buy it under a false name, and walk out.
Yeah, I think she'll suggest that. Let's just buy a car that we know will get us there. Used, cash. Then it's ours. And we drive all night.
Thankfully, we have the energy drinks.
Maybe you sleep first shift.
He kind of shrugs and takes another sip of his monster.
I'll keep the driver awake at least.
I think at this point, after a long day of this, Bear was already sweating, but there is now sweat just dripping off of Bear's nose. It's going to be a long ride in the car with this guy.
We can stop, I don't know,
At a truck stop?
something like that.
Yeah, because they have like showers and stuff there. That'd be nice.
Yep.
Stop by a truck stop, get someone cleaned up, and then also go.
Some snacks.
Caffeine. More caffeine.
Now, do you all, when you're getting this car, do you all want to pool cash, or Sarah, do you want to do it all yourself? How do you want to do it?
I mean, if it's not like a concern of hers, like finances are fine and she has it, she'll just do it herself.
So it would be a major expense. Go ahead and make an Int x5 or an accounting test, whichever is higher.
I can help, or I can also contribute to the car money pool.
If it's going to be easier for us just to pull it, then that's fine.
Let's do that then. Since we're pooling, I won't make you roll for a major expense, Sarah. Just reduce one non-Delta Green bond by 1.
Okay.
And then for you, Leah, because I think it's safe to say you're in a wealthy occupation,
Yeah.
make an Int x5 or accounting test, whichever's higher.
In times 5, 23.
23, under 85, beautiful. There is no bond damage with that one. So you pull the cash to get a used car. We'll say, in the interest of time, you have no problem in the St. Louis metropolitan area finding a used car lot that will accept cash, a dubious name and identity, and hand over the title and papers for pick your poison of used car. Not quite a lemon, definitely not top of the line, definitely not brand new. It's got a lot of miles on it, but it will get you to El Paso, no problem. And more importantly, it doesn't leave a trail. But with the semblance of a plan beginning to form, with your destination ahead of you in El Paso, with transportation secured, I think that's a great place to bring tonight's session to a close.
Wow.
Dang.
Damn.
That was pretty intense.
Thank you for listening to Delta Green, God's Teeth, part of the Black Project Gaming podcast. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or a comment on YouTube. Be sure to visit blackprojectgaming.com for previous and future Delta Green episodes. If you'd like updates on all future releases, please follow us on Blue Sky or Facebook. Until next time, I'm Vince, your host and handler, with Cami as FBI Special Agent Sarah Hart, Doug as Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Gerrald Swenson, Jack as Special Agent Adrian Selivanov with the FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, and Sonia as Dr. Leah Caron with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Thank you again, and remember, we'll be seeing you.